So today is the third session. This webinar is basically for 8 hours. So we are done with 4-hour session. That was, we did it on last Saturday and Saturday and Sunday. And today is the third session and tomorrow will be the fourth session. Hey, good morning, Rita. Good morning, Swarupa. Is my voice clear? Yes, good morning, Lavanya. So in the last session, in last 2 sessions, we learned things like what is database, how database has evolved, and what all things we do in database, why database is very important. We learned all these things, right? And also we studied things like how to create a database, and also how to create a table. And we learned like what are the different data types, different constraints in order to create a table. And also in the second session, we started with accrued operations. Basically, we being a data scientist or a machine learning engineers, we focus on reading the data. Yes. Reading data in the sense, we focus on different things. We see different things such as, like selecting entire data, selecting distinct values. And also we learned like how to use a where clause. And also we learned like where clause is basically used to filter out data based on certain conditions like logical operators, comparison operators. And also we discussed about order by in order to sort your data in ascending or descending order. Yes. So yeah, today I have come up with an interesting topic regarding a SQL. And I hope you will enjoy that. Shall we start the session? So let me share my screen. Yeah. So the topics that I'm going to discuss for today's session are like, aggregate functions. So you might have studied about an aggregate functions even in pandas. Do you remember? Do you remember the aggregate functions? And also let's discuss about group by statement or a group by clause, which you might have studied in pandas. And also we have another clause that is having clause. And we'll discuss about what is update statement, what alter statement does, and also let's discuss few things related to a SQL interview questions. Okay, I just want to compare a few crude operations or a SQL commands, like how each one differs from the other SQL command. All right. So my first question, what are aggregates? So far what we did in SQL was like, we had a data and what we did was like fetching data with it, right? Like based on certain conditions, based on certain pattern, based on multiple conditions, we try to fetch our data. Okay, now the question is, what if I want to find, let's say I have a sales data, okay? Let's say I have a superstore sales data or a global store data. So my question is like, I want to find a total sales that is happening in, entire country or in the entire world, or what is the total sales of that particular company. And also, what if I want to find the maximum sales in different countries? And also, what if I want to find, the count of orders, or what if I want to find count of customers? All these things are basically found with the help of aggregate functions. Okay. So SQL aggregate functions are basically used to perform the calculations on multiple rows of a single column. What do you mean by that? We can perform few calculations on a single column and it's going to return you a single value. That is basically done with the help of aggregate functions. Can you list out me a few aggregate functions which you know? Can I get few answers? What are the different aggregate functions that you know? No idea. So the different aggregate functions are like, count function, sum, average, minimum, and maximum. So these are the 5 aggregate functions, 5 different functions that we use in order to find, in order to calculate count of customers or sum of sales or average of sales? What if you want to find minimum of sales or maximum sales? So these functions basically help you in calculating all these things. Okay. So now let's move on to one by one. Let's see what is count function. So count function basically used to return number of rows in a table. Okay, when you are given with a data set, you should be able to know like how many records are there, right? Like how do you know that? You can either look at the index column or else like if you look at the index column and if you look at the last value, you will get to know. But without doing that, just by using a SQL command, how do you find a total number of rows in a table or total number of records in a table? That is basically done with the help of count function. And the SQL syntax in order to return or in order to find number of rows in a table goes something like this. You just have to use a select statement and you have to use count function and we are using asterisk. So asterisk is basically used to fetch entire data from a table, right? And here I'm basically focusing on finding number of records in a table. So I'm using count function on this start and we need to fetch it from a table name, and you need to specify your condition. If in case you want to find records based on a condition, total number of records based on a condition, in that case, you can just use var condition. So is it clear about the count function? Let's see how this count function works in MySQL workbench. Yeah, we'll do that. So let me open MySQL workbench. Yeah. So I have come up with a few questions in order to solve these aggregate functions, and I'll show you like how to apply these things on a particular data. So I'm using global superstore data. So where we have different columns such as, first let me show you like how my data is. So I'm basically using practice data database, and I'm trying to show you like my table name is customer. Let me show you our table. And you can see here, my table name is customer. And I'm trying to, okay, let's see like what are the different columns we have in our data. So what I do is I'll use a select statement. It's going to be select. I want to fetch entire data from that customer. So how do you do? So select asterisk from, you just need to specify your table name. And my table name is customer. And I just need to close it with a semicolon. Let's run this and let's see what are the different columns that I have in customer table. Yeah. So it's taking time to run. Yeah, that's kidding. So this is my table. This is my customer data or a superstore, global superstore data, which has a different columns such as row ID, order date, ship mode, customer name, category, product. We have different countries, region, product name, sales, quantity, discount, profit. So these are the different attributes or these are the different columns that we have in our customer table. Okay. So hope you got this. This data is all about, the order ID, customer ID, and it's related to our different products. So we can see different customers here and their purchase ID, the category of their purchase, subcategory, and also the total sales for different categories. Okay, so using select asterisk from customer, we are going to fetch all the records from the customer table. Now I was explaining about an aggregate functions, right? So we have different aggregate functions. I told you that how do you count a total number of records in this particular customer table? How do you do that? That is basically done with the help of aggregate functions. Yeah, so the first aggregate function is the count function. Now let's see, let's try to write a query to find total number of records in a table. So how do you do that? Just a minute. Sorry for the interruption. Sorry, yeah, I was discussing about account function. So my question is, I want to write a query to find the total number of records in a table. So how to do that? I want to find the total number of records. That means how many rows are there in a table. That needs to be found. So how do we do that? So we use a count function that is in first aggregate function. So let's try to apply the count function and let's see like how many records are there in this particular table. Shall we do that? So it's very simple. We just have to use a select statement. And let's see, I'm going to use a count aggregate function. And I need to find count of, I need to say like I need to find number of records, right? So how do you do that? I just have to use asterisk symbol, count of asterisk. And I'm basically trying to find that from a table. My table name is customer. Okay, let's run this and let's see what it returns. So how do you run? You run it using this execute the statement and a keyboard cursor, right? So let's run this and let's see how many records it's going to return us. So it says there are 310 records inside this customer table. Okay, are you getting? If you want to import this data into your database and if you want to do it along with me, I have uploaded a SQL file into that drive link, which I've shared in the last session. So you can just dump that SQL file into your MySQL and you can start doing with me. Okay, yeah. So we found the number of records in the table, that is, it shows like 310. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to find a number of records in a table. Even you can find number of records in a single column as well. Even that works. Let's say it's going to be select. Let me take a column as country. So my column as country of. Sorry, I just need to find the count, right? So it's going to be count of. I'm basically trying to find the number of records in a country table. So I'm using country from customer. And let's run this. So country column is giving you 314 records because there might be some missing values. Initially, the number of records were like 320. Here it's showing just 314 because country column might contain some missing values or a null values. Is it clear? So this is how count function works. Okay, now let's see, how do you find a distinct values in a certain category? How do you find distinct countries? When I say a country in a customer table, we'll have a different countries, right? So how do you find those distinct countries? So we learned this in the last session. It's going to be select. I just have to use a keyword distinct of. I need to specify the name of the column, that is country. And I just want to say from the customer table. And let's run this and let's look for the distinct country names. So this query is going to return you the distinct countries that you have in this particular column. So you have many countries here. You can see many countries like UK, Brazil, Australia, Italy, Australia, and also you see like India, Germany, Japan, United States. Do you want to find the count of those countries? How do you do? How do you find a count of these countries? Like we found distinct countries, distinct values. And I want to know the count of those distinct values. So how do you do that? Simple, you just have to take a count aggregate function on this distinct country. That's going to return you the number of distinct countries that are available inside this table. All right, let's run this. Yeah. So it says that there are 37 distinct countries. Are you getting? This is how count function, count aggregate function is used in order to know like how many records are there in different columns. Is it clear? Count function basically used to count number of records in a table or else number of records in a column. If you get, number of records less compared to the total records, that means there will be some missing values in that particular column. Even one of the advantage of using this count function is like, if you find count of each column, you'll get to know the missing values, like which column has got a missing values can be found using this count function. Okay. I said a count of country, right? Similarly, you can find count of, let's see, let's count of, let me try for segment and let's see like how many records are there inside the segment column. Segment is one of the column inside this customer table. Okay, and let's run this. So what's this going to return you? The count of countries as well as count of segment column. And let's see, are there any missing values in them or not? Oh, it's giving equal number of values. So country and segment, they have got the same values. Is it clear? So this is how count function is going to work. Any questions on count function? You can post it. I can answer you. No questions? Shall I move on to the next aggregate function? Yeah. So the next aggregate function is basically average, which basically helps you in finding average value of a numerical column. So let's say our table, customer table has, average values. So how do you find average of sales? Average is, how do you find average? Average is nothing but a mean. How do you find average? So what is the formula to find an average? It's like sum of sales divided by total sales. So instead of using that formula, like, average sales by, sum of sales by total sales, instead of that, what you can do is you can directly use average function, which is going to return you the average value of a numerical column. And the SQL syntax is something like this. You just have to specify average aggregate function on a column on which you are trying to find, the average value. Okay. Similarly, you have one more function that is sum. This is basically used to find a total sum of a column. Let's say if you have a sales column, or like what if you want to find a total sales or a sum of sales in a company? What if you want to find the total sales or sum of sales of a company? So that is basically done with the help of this sum aggregate function. And its syntax is something like this. You just have to select a statement and you need to apply that sum aggregate on a column name. Okay, the way you did count, similarly, you have to do with sum and average. Sum is basically used to find the sum of a column, and average is basically used to find average of a column. Okay. Okay, let's try to do this sum and average using MySQL workbench, and then let me come back to minimum and maximum. Yeah. Okay, so now the question is like write a query to calculate sum of sales. So how do you calculate? So we have sales for different products and sales of different countries, and this is data related to some company. Okay, so company has to look for what is the total sales, like what is the sum of sales. That is basically found using this sum function. So how do you do that? It's basically select. We use an aggregate function sum of. Okay, I'm basically trying to trying to find what? Sum of sales, right? So let's say sum of sales. Sales is my column name, and I'm trying to find from the table name is customers. Let's run this and let's see what it's going to return. Oh, it's giving me error because my table name is customer if I wrote customers. So be careful, like whatever is your table name, same thing has to be used while writing the SQL query. And let's run this. So it has to return me sum of sales for the entire data. And let's see what it's going to return. Yeah, so this is the total sales of this customer table or this global superstore data. Okay, do you want to change a column name? Do you want to give some alias as, like total sales? That is basically done by using this AS. AS stands for alias. I'm saying it's a total sales. Okay, let's run this. So it will create a new column for you with the name total sales, and it's going to return you the sum of sales of this particular data. Okay, yeah. And similarly, let's try to find the average value. Let's write a query to calculate average of sales. So how do you write a query to calculate average of sales? You learned about how to calculate a sum of sales, right? Now let's see how to write a query to calculate average of sales. So I just have to use a select statement, and the aggregate function is average. So average of what? Average of sales. So just write that sales is my attribute or a column name. So average of sales, make sure average spelling is right. So it's going to be average of sales. You can give your aggregate or you can give an alias name, like whatever you want. Let's say it's an average sales. Okay. And whatever I'm writing after as, that is basically an alias. You can give it a temporary column name that you're assigning to this average sales. Okay. So from customer is my table name. So let it be customer. And let's run this. It's going to return you the average sales. Yeah. So this is the average sales of this customer table. Get it? So this is how, the count function, sum function and average function is going to work. I hope it's clear till count, sum, and average. Now let's see how to calculate the highest sales, how to calculate the highest profit, and also how to calculate the least sales value, and also least profit or a loss value. That is basically done with the help of, aggregate functions such as min and maximum. So let me move on to the PPT and let's see what is minimum and what is maximum. Yeah. So this is my minimum function, which is basically used to find the smallest value in the selected column. So let's say if you have a sales column, in that if you want to find a minimum sales, in that case, you just have to use a minimum function. Okay, that's going to return you the minimum value in that particular column or in a selected column. Yeah, and the syntax is something similar to like what we did previously. It's just, you just have to use a select statement, and you need to specify your aggregate function, and you are applying your aggregate function on a column name. So it should be min of column name. And from table name, even if you want, you can specify your condition. Okay, what if you want to find only the minimum sales of a particular country? In that case, you have to make use of var condition. All right, I'll show one example for that. And also there is one more aggregate function. We call that as maximum. So max is another aggregate function, which is basically used to find the largest value in the selected column. So we have a sales column in our customer table, and I just want to find the maximum sales in that a particular column. I just want to know what is the maximum sales. So that is basically found using this maximum aggregate function. All right. And the syntax is something like this, which is similar to the previous things like what we studied. You just have to use the select statement and you have to use maximum aggregate function that is applied on certain column. Make sure you apply that on only a single column. And we are basically doing it with a table name. So from table, and if you want to find a maximum sales from particular column to particular country, in that case, you can specify the where condition. You can specify where country equals India. If you want to know the maximum sales in India, you can just say where country equals India. Or if you want to know a sales in United States, you can just give your where condition as country equals United States. So this is how where condition is going to work with aggregate functions. Okay, so let's see like how this min function, maximum function is going to work with customer table. Shall we? Let's do it in a MySQL workbench and let's see how it's going to work. So let me come back to MySQL workbench. Yeah. So here is a question that you need to write a query to find the highest sales. So how do you find? So we just have to use a select statement. It's going to be select. And highest sales means obviously it's a maximum aggregate, max aggregate that we are using here, or else you can say a keyword. So max of. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to find the maximum sales or the highest sales. So I have to choose the column max sales column. So it's going to be maximum max sales. And also it's going to be from the customer table. My table name is customer. And do you want to specify your condition? Where condition? First, let's try what is the maximum sale of this for the entire data. And then let's specifically find it for country India. All right. So let's select it. It says the maximum of sales from customer is going to be. So this is the maximum sales out of all the sales. And you want to specify a condition now. It's going to be where clause where equals. You just need to specify the condition. Let's take India. I just want to know the maximum sales in India. So I'll just say where, oh, sorry, you just need to specify your column name. It's where country equals India. All right. So let's run this. So this is going to return you the maximum sales of Indian country. Okay, so this is what the maximum sales, this is what the highest sales in India. Similarly, you can try with different countries. You can give Australia, you can try with UK, or you can try with the United States. Because we have like 32 distinct countries, right? Like you can try with a different values. Okay, so this is how you apply a maximum function in order to return the highest sales for this customer table. Now, so now let's write a query to find highest profit. So it's going to be select. I want an highest profit, so it's going to be maximum of. I just want to specify the column name as profit. And it's going to be from customer table where country equals, let's check it for Australia. So what we are trying to find the highest profit. And let's run this. Yes, Rita, you can use two condition, it works. You can use logical operators and or, and you can try to figure it out. Okay, everything is same the way you did and previously you did like using where clause, right? Like you were only fetching the records there. Here we are trying to fetch a single record for different conditions. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we got the maximum profit for the country Australia. You can see here it's 1164. So this is how you query in order to find the highest profit for different countries. And someone is asking like, can we specify a multiple condition? Let's make use of and condition and let's see. Oh, sorry. So I just want to see the unique values and category. So let's select category from customer, and before that, I just want to find a distinct values. So it's going to be distinct of category. Okay, let's run this because in order to use two conditions, I just want to know the distinct values in that category column. So yeah, so office supplies, technology, furniture. Okay, let's use one of the category here and let's see what it returns. So it's going to be, let's say category equals so let's say category equals technology. Let's run this. Yeah. So this is the profit for Australia, and that is specifically for technology products. Okay, so this is how multiple conditions are going to work with aggregates. Remember, like whatever crude operations I explained in a previous session, it was basically to fetch multiple records. So when you use aggregates, you are going to get a single value. Okay, that's the speciality of using aggregates. If I say count, it's just going to return you the total number of records. When I say it's sum, it's just going to sum everything based on your condition, and it's going to give you the sum value, single value. And when I say average, obviously it has to return you the single value for individual column. And even maximum means it's just going to return you the highest profit, highest sales for a particular column. You might get a question like, can we return it for different countries? Yes, you might be thinking that, right? You might have got a question. That is basically done with the help of group by clause. So once I finish this aggregate, I'll jump into a group by where we try to apply this aggregate function for different groups. Okay, whatever highest sales I'm finding here for the individual column, that can be done for different countries. I can find highest sales in different countries by using group by clause. Okay, so I'm done with the maximum function. Now let me move on to the minimum function. I'll show two queries, and then let's jump to a group by clause. Okay, I hope you are getting. So min function, that is basically used to find a minimum value of a column, right? So let's write a query to find the least sales. So how do you write a query to find a least sales? Yeah. So it's going to be select statement, select. I have to use a minimum aggregate, minimum of, and we need to find a least sales. So it's going to be minimum of. And I'm applying this aggregate function on a sales column and from customer. And this is my column. Sorry, this is my table name. Yeah. And let's run this. So this is going to return me the least sales for this data. So minimum sales is basically it's just 585. Okay. So this is how you analyze things. This is how you find least sales using min operator or main aggregate function. Similarly, you can find the least profit. You just have to use select. So minimum of, So let's try to find the profit. So I have to apply this aggregate function on a profit table. So it's going to be minimum of profit and from, and my table is customer. And do you want to apply any condition? Do you want to find a minimum profit of Indian country? Do you want to know it for India? And let's specify the condition as country equals, let's say India. It's going to return you the minimum profit gained by this country. Oh yeah, I didn't use wait condition. That's why it's showing here. Yes. So select minimum profit from customer. So when I want to specify any condition, so I should remember that I need to specify a wait clause. Yes. Let's run this. So it's going to return me the minimum profit. Oh, minimum profit in the sense like least profit in the sense there is no loss. Okay. So this is how things work. using different aggregate functions. So that completes aggregate functions. Is everything clear about aggregate functions? Any questions? Let me know if you have any questions so I can clear you. Yeah. So we'll move on to group by clause now. Let me share. Let me go back to my PPT where it is. Yeah. So done with the aggregate functions. So the next function or the next clause or the next SQL operator or a SQL command that we are learning is group by. So you might have got a question like, so far what we did was like calculating a few things like, finding total sales, finding average sales, finding, highest profit, least profit. So these things basically we found for the entire data. Now you might have a question like, can we do it for the individual countries? Yes. So what if I want to know the total sales in each country? What if I want to know the sales in India? What if I want to know sales in Germany? What if I want to know sales in US? How do you do that? So basically, you can find individually by by specifying your where condition. That's what we did. Like you can get a sales of Indian country just by specifying by using where condition, and you can see country equals India, so that it's going to return you the sum of sales for India. But if you want to find for all the countries together in just a single query, that is basically done with the help of group by. Okay. So group by statement in SQL is used to arrange identical data into groups with the help of aggregate functions. So what do you mean by that? So we arrange identical data. That means if I say, we have different records here, we have different orders from customers. So customers can be from different countries. They can be from India, they can be from America, they can be from different countries, right? They can be from different countries. So now the question is, we just want to know like how many orders from different countries, and also we are interested in knowing like what are the different, what is different sales in different countries. That is basically done. That is basically we call that as a grouping identical data. So when I say customers related to our Indian company, they're all who belong to India, they all come under one group, right? We call that as an identical data which is related to India. Similarly, we have identical data, different order IDs, different customers from America. So that has to be grouped, and we have to do analysis for that, grouping or for the identical data. That is basically done with the help of by clause. Yeah, example, what if I want to find a total sales in different countries? Yeah. So using where clause, you have to write your query again and again. Like first you have to specify for where country equals India, then where country equals Australia, then where country equals US. So it's not a good thing, right? And it's not a relevant thing to write a code again and again to print a total sales or to know higher sales in different countries. So just to avoid that, we have a very beautiful clause. We call it as a group by, which plays a very important role in data analysis and to understand the data. It's very easy. Just by writing a query, it gives you a clear picture about what is your data is all about, because it's very hard for anyone to just look into our data and to analyze, right? So, and also you can find, what if you want to find, higher sales for each segment? So we have a different segments. What if you want to find sales for those segments? That is basically done with the help of group by statement. All right. And let's see how that syntax works. And also, this group by can be applied on single column. You can just specify your first column, like syntax is something like this. You just have to use a select statements and specify your column name. So let's say I just want to group by, I just want to find some of sales for different countries. So I can specify country name here, and I can aggregate I can apply aggregate function like, sum on a sales column. And also we are doing it from a table customers. You can specify your table now, table name. And now the question is, I need to group by countries. That means I want sum of sales for each countries. I want sum of sales for different countries. How do you do that? That is basically done with the help of this group statement. Whatever group statement you see here, you have to write group by clause and you have to specify the column name. Here I'm trying to group it by what? I want sum of sales related to different countries. So that means I need to group by different countries. I just want to specify the country name. That will be the column one. Okay. And also you might have a question like, do you want to order it? Order by in the sense, you can arrange your data either in ascending order or a descending order. That's why we use order by, right? Even you can specify order by clause along with a group by. Okay. So this is how a group by with single column is going to work. Similarly, you can apply group by to multiple columns as well. Even that works. So what if you want to find sum of sales for different countries and for different categories? Like categories were like furniture, technology, and supply something, right? So like it will take a country, like it will take a India, and it will again group into a segment or a category that is, technology, supplies, and a furniture. And for these three categories, it's going to retain you the sum of sales. So this is how group by is going to work with multiple columns. Okay, and syntax is something like this. So you just have to use a select statement and you need to specify your column one, and you can apply aggregate function on sales because here my focus is on finding sales for different countries as well as for different categories. Here categories are supply, technology, and furniture. Do you remember? I showed you long back. Okay, yeah. So you just need to specify your column name and then we use group by. So in a previous slide, I showed you like how to specify a single column, and now we are focusing on multiple columns. So I'll specify two columns, one after the other, just by separating it by comma. So order by, and this order by clause is basically used to filter your data based on, either if you want your data to be in either increasing order or a decreasing order. In that case, you can just specify, order by clause. Okay. And there is one more clause, that is having clause. Okay, you might have learned about, include operations. When we try to fetch our records based on certain conditions, how that is done, which clause was used in order to filter data based on a multiple condition, which was the clause or which was the SQL command that I used in order to fetch records based on a condition. Can I get an answer? No idea. What is the SQL command that I use in order to fetch records based on a multiple condition? Which is that clause? We used where clause, right? So when you want to filter records based on a certain condition, we use a where clause. But when you use a concept of group by, we are trying to group data into different categories or different groups. That means we are trying to find a total sales for different countries. That is basically done with the help of group by. So what if you want to specify some condition for this group by? If you want to specify certain condition when you use a group clause, you can't use a where clause because where clause will not work for group by. When you are trying to use a group by clause, where clause will not work. So for that, as a substitute for where clause, in order to specify a condition, we have a concept called as having clause. Having clause works exactly like a where clause where you can specify your condition, but make sure you use this having clause along with a group by. Okay, it seems like, having clauses used to filter the result obtained by the group by class based on a specific condition. It works exactly like a where clause, but remember, where clause cannot be used with a group by because of a few disadvantages. What you have to do is you have to use a having clause in order to filter your data based on group by conditions. Remember this? You might get a question like, what is the difference between where clause and having clause? And also you can expect a question like, can where clause be used with group by? And also you can get a question like, can having clause be used directly with the select statement? So these are the important questions that you need to remember, that you need to focus when you take up any interview. So these are like logical questions that people would like to ask you, because you should know all these things. Okay. And syntax is something like this. It seems like, you just have to select a statement and you have to specify your column, and you have to apply aggregate on column, like whatever you're trying to find. And from table name, then you have to use group by. Using group by clause, you can specify either single column or multiple column that's left to you, and you have to use having condition. Having basically works just like, where clause, where you can specify your condition. You might get a question like, can we specify multiple conditions? Yes, you can specify your multiple conditions. And also you can use order by class in order to filter your data based on whether it's increasing order or decreasing order. That's basically done with the help of order by. So this is how, order of group by works. First, it's a select statement, then from table, then you'll use a group by, then having clause, and then order by. This is the order. And there are few rules that you need to follow, while dealing with a group by. The first rule is like, remember this, group by clause is always used with a select statement. It can be used with any other statements. Make sure this group by clause is always used with a select statement. And then, so group by is always placed before a having clause, because first we have to group it and then we have to specify the condition, right? So that's why group by should always be placed before having clause. And the next condition or the next rule is going to be group by clause is placed before order by. Follow this order. See, first you have to specify your group by, because we are trying to group, we are trying to filter records we are grouping based on certain aggregate function. So group by should be first. Once you do grouping, you can specify condition. That means that condition is specified using a having clause. Remember, when you group a data, what if you want to fetch that whatever data or whatever you have grouped it, if you want to fetch that based on a certain condition, then you can just say your having clause, you can use your having clause and you can use the condition. And then what if you want to order that data, whatever you are returning, whatever you are trying to fetch, what if you want to order that in ascending or a descending order? That is basically done with the help of order by. You can specify by default it's going to be in an ascending order, and if you want it to be arranged in descending order, you just have to specify DESC. Okay, and also one more thing, remember having clause is always placed before order by. And remember the order. So these are the 4 rules. And there is one more, conditions are specified in having clause. So remember this rule. This is how group by clause is going to work. So what is the rule? First, it has to be group by. Yeah, and then you have to specify your condition. If you want to specify your condition, just use having clause. And then if you want to order your data based on, ascending or a descending order, in that case, just go with order by. This is the order that you have to follow. If you change any of the order, it's going to return you. It's going to throw you an error. So this is how group by clause, having clause, and order by is going to work. Remember these rules, because it's very important. If you alter the positions of these clauses, it's going to throw you an error. Okay. So let's try to implement these group by clause, having clause, as well as order by together using MySQL workbench. Shall we do it for our data, customer data? Yeah. Is there any doubt regarding this? You can post a question so that I can answer before moving on to the practical approach of this different clauses. Try to compare each clauses. Only then you will learn things. You will understand it in a better way. Okay, let's see how to apply group by clause for our customer data. Yep. So I have this MySQL workbench, and now I have created a few questions for you, and let's try to work on that. Yeah. So yeah, what is the first question? First question is basically you have to write a query to find number of customers in each country in descending order. So how do you do that? So what we did initially at the start of the class, I explained you like how to find the number of customers in a table. Yes, no, that was basically done using a count function, and we applied count on a asterisk. So we applied the count function on the entire data. We got the number of customers. But here my question is completely different. So I need to find number of customers in each country, and that has to be ordered in a descending order. So how do you do that? So when I say number of customers in each country, obviously I have to go with group by clause. Yeah. So let's try to apply a group by clause. So what will be the syntax? So I just have to use a select statement. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to find the number of customers in each country. So that means I want a country table, country column. And also I just want to know the number of customers. Number of customers means it's going to be count of asterisk, right? That is going to give you the number of customers. And also, so from table name, my table name is going to be customers. Sorry, it's a customer. It's not yes. If you use yes, it's going to throw you an error. And then, okay. And then, so if I do just this, it's going to return me. It will give me an error because I didn't specify a group by, because I need to filter record based on different countries. So I'll use a group by keyword. So it's a group by, and I'm grouping by what? So I'm trying to group number of customers based on a country. Yes. So group by, my column is going to be country here. And let's run this, and then let me apply the order by. Okay. Let me run this. Yeah, look here. So I can give an alias for this count of star as, I can say number of customers. Okay, and let's run this. So can you make out the thing here? What's happening here? So what's happening here? We are trying to group an entire data into different countries. So we got different countries, and we are trying to find the number of customers in each country. Can you make out? That's what I did. So this is possible just because of this group by statement. Without a group by, if you can just specify, where clause, and you can fetch a number of customers in each country, like you have to write multi-line statements using a where clause. But what if you want to do it together? How do you reduce the steps of that where clause? That is basically done with the help of group by. Okay, so what I did, I just selected a country, and I'm trying to find the number of customers. So it's going to be count of asterisk. And I give a alias like number of customers and grouping by country. Now, do you want to arrange them in ascending order, descending order? So for that, you have to use order by clause, that is order by what? Do you want to order it by country or by number of customers? So do you want to see like highest number of customers and the corresponding country? So then you can see order by, you can just say, I just want to order by count of star. I want to arrange, this country, let's see, I want descending order. So I'll just say the ESC, and let's run this, and let's see what it's going to return. Yeah, so say it has ordered by number of customers. Basically, it's giving you a descending order. Descending means it's highest to lowest. So from this, you can see, the top countries which has got the highest number of customers. So which are the top countries and which has got the highest number of customers? It's basically United States, Australia, China, India, France, Germany, right? And do you want to limit this to a particular number? Do you want just the top three? Yeah. Do you want to print just top three countries? How do you do that? just have to specify a limit keyword to fetch a top 3 records or the top 3 countries with highest number of customers. And let's run this and let's see what output it's going to return. So it has to give me the top 3 countries with highest number of customers. Can you see? So it's United States, Australia, and China. So this is how this query is going to work in order to give number of customers in different countries. Getting? So this is how group by clause is going to work. Similarly, let's see, let's write a query to find number of orders placed in each region in increasing order. There are different regions, like East region, South, West, Northeast, something like that. I just want to find the number of orders placed in each region in increasing order. Let's see how it's going to work. And let's write a query for that. Let's see, sell it. And what I want a region. I want to filter records based on a region, right? So region is a target here. Like I want number of orders placed on different regions. So select region, comma, let me use account aggregate. So it's count of what? I want number of orders. So we have a column called as order ID. So let's take order ID and let's count. That is going to give you the number of orders placed in each region. And let's see, you can give an alias like, you can see number of orders. Yeah, this is an alias that I'm giving. It's like temporary name. And from table, my table name is customer. And I need to group it by what? I'm trying to find the number of orders in each region. So I have to use a group by clause. And the column that I need to specify is basically a region. It's going to filter records, or it's going to return you the number of orders placed in each region. And now I want the things to be in an increasing order. That means I have to use order by. So let's see order by. And if I order by what? So let's try to order it by number of orders. So number of orders is a temporary name that I have given for this count of order ID. And let's run this. So since I want this to be in an increasing order from lowest to highest, so I'm not specifying anything because order by default, it's going to be an ascending thing. Yeah. And let's run this. So it has to return me number of orders placed in each region. And it should be ordered in ascending order, that is increasing order. Can you make out here? So we have different regions like Canada, West Africa, North, South, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, South, Central. So these are the different regions, and I found like what are the different number of orders of each region. That is basically calculated using group by, and we have used the aggregate function called as count. Okay, what if you want to order it by descending? You just need to specify DESC. That's going to return you the output. Yeah. Or else what you can do is you can just double click on this number of orders on this column. Like if you double click, it's going to show you things in increasing order. If you double click again, it's going to show things in increasing order without an order by thing. Okay, is it clear? So this is how group by works with a single column. Okay, similarly, let's try to use some aggregate function and let's try to write a query to find total sales in each country. So how do you find total sales in each country? You can try the code now. You can try on your own. It's just a select. I want a country, right? I want to find sum of sales for different countries. So I'm taking a column name as country and I want to find the sum of sales. So I'm applying the aggregate function on sales column. And let's see the column name as sum of sales. Yeah, sum of sales from my table name is basically a customer. And I just want to group by a country. So let's say group by country because I want a sales of different countries. So group by country and you can use order by. So it's going to be order by, I can see order by what? Let's do order by sum of sales. Yeah, let's run this and let's see what output it returns. So it has to give me a different countries and also corresponding sales. Can you see here? You have got different countries as well as a sum of sales. It's basically ordered in Ascending order, it's basically done on sum of sales. And you want to see like which countries has got the top sales or the highest sales. How do you do that? Let me order it by DSC and okay, and then let's see, let's limit to top 3 or let's say top 5. I just want to know the top 5 countries which has got the highest sales, which has got highest sales. Okay, and let's run this. Simple. I'm just using the limit keyword and I'm specifying 5. So which is going to return me the 5 records or the 5 countries which has got the highest sales. Okay, so United States, Australia, China, France, and Germany, these countries has got the highest sales regarding this data. Are you getting? So this is how things work, and we found maximum sales, and also we found like top 3 countries with highest sales. Similarly, you can try the top 3 countries with highest profit. Okay, let's try to write a query in order to return top 3 countries with highest profit. So how do you do that? So we just have to use a select statement. Oh, sorry, select statement is wrong. Yeah, spelling is wrong. Yeah. So I have to use a select statement. I want top 3 countries with highest profit. So let me take a country and I'm trying to apply. I want the highest profit. Let's see sum of profit. Yeah. Or let's instead of sum, let's try to find an average. Average profit, average of profit, and so from my table name is customers, and let's specify a group by. I need to group it by country. And do you want to group it by segment as well or a category? Let's see. Category, let's take 2 columns and let's try to group it by a multi-columns. So along with the country, I'm trying to group it by category as well. So yeah, later you can do order by and all. So we need to find the top 3 countries, right? So I just want to specify the order by. So it's going to be order by, let's order it by average of profit. Average of profit, and also you just need to specify ascending or descending. So let me make it not descending because I want the top 3. So it's going to be DESC, and let's limit to top 3 countries. Yeah, let's run this. So this is going to return you country, category, and also the average profit for different categories for different countries, and it's going to group by country and category, and it's going to be arranged or ordered by average of profit, and we are trying to fetch the top 3 records. Oh, it's giving me error because I often do this mistake. My table name is customer and I have given customers. Sorry for that. Yeah. If you use customer, it's going to return you the output. Remember, whatever table name you give, same thing has to be given. Yeah. So let's try to find a category and then a country. And then let's group it by category and a country. And let's try to run this. Yeah. So there are basically 3 different categories, right? Like furniture, office supplies, and technology. And the countries, these are the only 3 countries which are basically doing sales on these categories, like furniture, office supplies, and technology. And the average profit is this. And we are basically focusing only on the top 3, right? And these are the 3 countries which has, high profit or high average profit regarding these categories. If I remove this limit 3, then you can see our different countries. And let's run this. Now you can see You can see different countries based on a different categories, and also you can see the corresponding average profit. So this is how a group by clause work. It's showing you the average profit for different countries based on a category, but I was just focused on limiting things, or I was just focused on, finding the top 3 countries. That's why I just gave a limit, and it gave me top 3 countries with highest profit, highest average profit. Getting? So this is how group by clause is going to work with 2 different columns. Yeah. Okay. And also what you can do is you can apply 2 aggregate functions on 2 different columns, and you can try to write a query. Okay, let's say I want to write a query to find average sales, as well as I want to find sum of sales in each segment. So how do you do that? So we have a different segments. And for those different segments, I just want to know like what is the total sales and what is the average sales. So that is basically done with the help of, let's make use of select statement. And I'm basically focusing on a segment and segment comma, and I want to find average sales. So let's say it's average of sales, comma, and also I want to find sum of sales. It's going to be sum of, I'm trying to find sum of sales. So I'm applying a sum aggregate on sales. And from my table name as customer. And also what you need to do, you need to group by a segment, right? That is what your question. You need to find the average sales and sum of sales in each segment. Each segment means obviously you have to group your entire data into different segments. So that is basically done with the help of group by. Group by, let's see, it's segment. Make sure you give a correct spelling. So it's a segment. And do you want to order by? Okay, first let's run this. And let's see what it's going to return. And even in the same example, I'll show you like how having clause is going to work. Okay, let's try to find the average sales and sum of sales for different segments. So we have different segments like say consumer, home office, and corporate. These are the different segments, and for these segments, and the average sales is something like this, and sum of sales is something like this. So this is how you can get your average sales or a sum of sales for different segments. And do you want to know like number of orders for each segment, like for consumer segment, for home office segment? It just, you can give count of you can see order ID, which is going to return you the number of orders in each segment. Let's run this. It will add one more column, which is going to give you the number of order IDs, number of orders for this particular segment. You can see, you can analyze things, and it's showing you like there are 284 orders for this customer segment, and you have got average sales something like this 2479, and sum of sales is like good sales, no? Yeah. And also, do you want to filter this for a particular country? Yeah, do you want to do that? Do you want to specify a condition? How do you do that? What is the clause that we use in order to specify a condition along with a group by? What is that? It's going to be an having clause. You just want to say like having. You need to specify your condition, right? Let's say I say condition is country equals India. Yeah. And let's run this. It has to give me records related to India. That means it's going to give total number of orders for different segments in India, and also it's going to return you the We'll come back to that having clause. First, let's focus on group by. Yeah. Okay. So similarly, what you can do is you can take a different countries. Let's say a country, and you can see you can group by segment as well as a country, which is going to return you things like. And let's run this. Yeah. You can see now it gave different countries and also a number of orders in different countries for different segments. United States for consumer segment, it has got 54 orders and average sales and some of the sales. This is how we analyze things using a group by clause. Getting? Any questions on group by? Okay, for the same question, let me try to implement a having clause. So let's say we have our different countries and we have different segments. And for that, we calculated average sales, sum of sales, and we found like a total orders, right? And the table name was customer and we grouped it by segments and country. So now I need to specify a condition. So what I do, I'll take a condition as condition can be specified using having clause. And now let's say I just want to filter records whichever countries has got order IDs greater than 20. Okay, so I just want to see the countries which has got the number of orders greater than 20. That is basically specified using that having clause. We'll do that. So it's just count of, let's say order ID is greater than 20. So this is my condition. And let's run this and let's see what output it's going to return me. So it has given you records which are which has orders greater than 20. Can you make out? Initially it was like 1, 2, 3 and all. Now you can see just the orders or the data just related to the condition, like whichever countries has got the orders greater than 20 are basically fetched. Let me give just greater than 50 and let's see what it's going to return. It has to return me, I think, only United States, because I think that is the only one which has got the maximum orders. Yeah, let's run this. Got it. So if you want to fetch only, the country which has got orders greater than 50, then you specify the condition using having clause. Get it? It doesn't mean that you have to use count itself. You can make use of the sum of sales. You can make use of average of sales. Okay. Yeah. Shall I show one more example? What shall we do? Yeah. So let us select a country and let's try to filter it out based on category wise, and also let's try to calculate average of sales. I want to know average of sales, and also I want to know sum of sales. And also I should know the count of order ID, count of orders. So it's going to be count of order ID, and also I want to find maximum of sales. Yeah, minimum of sales. I'm applying all the aggregates for this function. So yeah, this is the last query, which is going to be explaining you everything about a group by having clause and also order by everything together. And also remember the rule that what should be given after what. That is very important, because if you just interchange the rule or if you interchange the clauses, it's going to return you an error. Okay, so let's try to find minimum of sales along with this. Yeah. So from my table name is basically customer. And I need to group by what? I need to group by country. And also I need to group it by category. Okay. And I need to specify a condition. So how do you specify a condition? We make use of having clause. Oh, it's showing error because I must by. It's basically a group by country, comma, category, having, let's say, what shall I say? Let's say count of order ID is greater than 10. Okay, let's try to get this data. So what I do aggregation on average. I want to find like sum of sales, average of sales, count of order IDs, like maximum sales, minimum sales. And I'm trying to group by country and a category. And also I've given a specific condition like, it has to filter it out data for a country having, number of orders greater than 10. Okay, let's run this and let's look for the output and let's see what it's going to return me. Yeah, so it gave you all the columns such as like country, category. Categories are basically like office supplies, technology, and furniture, right? Yeah. So, and also it has created a different columns for average of sales, sum of sales, count is basically count of order riders, like number of orders of that particular country for that particular category, and maximum sales and a minimum sales. So how do you analyze this? And also based on a condition, we got this data which has got the number of orders greater than 10. Can you see it? You don't have anything less than 10. So you can see some 20, 15 and all, right? Now let me give a specification, or let me change the condition to 30 and let's try to run this. Yep. So I'm trying to filter it out a record, or I want a country and a category for which, the number of orders is greater than 30. So I've got only two things, that is only one country, United States, and the category, it has got two categories, furniture and technology. And for this furniture category, the average sales is 2428, and for technology, the average sales is 3557. And similarly, sum of sales for this entire furniture category in US is 84985. And you can analyze them. So technology in the sense, it can be a mobile phone or probably like a laptop. So sales is high compared to furniture. So most of the people focused on purchasing technical things like technical operators. That's why the sales is very high. This is how you analyze, and even the number of orders is very high in technology compared to a furniture, and also the maximum sales. Highest sales in technology is like 9099, and the least sale is basically 664. So this is how you analyze things. Even you can say just less than 30. Let's say instead of greater than 30, you can say less than 30, which is going to return you things like country and category for which number of orders is less than 30. Okay, let's run this and let's see. It will give you different other countries as well, because US has got the highest number of customers compared to other countries. And yeah, you can see different countries now, like based on order ideas, like number of orders, and also you can see a sum of sales, maximum sales, minimum sales. And if you are willing to become a data analyst, what you can do, same analysis you do, you take a data set and you try to find whatever EDA process you do in data science or a machine learning project, same thing data analyst will do. They'll take a data set, they'll dump that into a SQL, and they'll try to frame question. They'll create few questions. They'll ask SQL, and they'll try to find answers using the SQL queries. And then what they do, they'll take this data, whatever data you got, that will be exported. And for that particular data, what they do, they'll plot at different plots. Okay. Same data can be taken in Power BI, or you can use Excel, or even you can use Matplotlib or a Seaborn in order to plot a different plots. Because here what we are doing, we are trying to filter it out data based on a condition, and even still it's difficult for the people to understand, or just by looking at the data. The easiest way to analyze the data, or easiest way to understand things is by a visualization. You can just export this data, whatever you have first, whatever query you wrote, whatever answer you got for that can be exported, and that can be used in order to plot a different graph. Okay, that's how a data analyst work goes. They try to analyze things. They try to frame questions. They'll ask themselves, they'll create a questions. They'll try to write a query. They try to find answer, and then they'll do some visualization and they'll present it to a company heads. So they'll just look at the things and they'll think about, what should be done to increase the sales. Where is the highest sales is happening? And also they think about, like, in which category the sales is low, what should we do for that? And why most of the people are looking towards technology, why they're not, why sales is very less towards, furniture and office supplies. That can be analyzed, and they can think about, manufacturing some creative things related to furniture, which might be useful for people. And, this is how analysis goes with a data analysis people. That's how they analyze things, and that's how they present and report to people, so that they can understand things and they can work on improvising their profit or probably a sales or their company revenue. Here, so this is how aggregates and group by is going to work. This is quite interesting. Yeah, if you want to learn this, obviously you have a lot of things to learn. You have a lot of things to explore in group by, and I'm sure you will love this concept because it's very interesting. You can try with a different condition. You can group by with the different columns, and you will get a very good information. Because just by looking at customer data, obviously nobody can understand anything. If you know SQL queries, you can write your SQL query and you can get answer just in 1 line or 2 lines of code. And don't you think it's interesting? Yeah. So that completes aggregate functions and a group by. Is everything clear about a group by? If you have any questions, you can post in the chat. I can answer your questions. Are you getting? This is how things are going to work in SQL. So when you have a complex data, obviously you have to look for like what you want. Like you can't consider like when you have a millions of data, it's very hard for you to work with entire data. What you can do is you can select your different sections. Like let's say if I take this global superstore, like it will have like millions of data. I have taken a very less data to show the analysis. That's it. Like when you have a millions of data, it's very hard for you to do analysis for everything for different countries. Yeah. So what you can do is you can write a queries like this and you can do analysis for different countries. You can group it into different groups so that it will be easy for you to analyze. And it makes things easier. Getting? Okay, that's good. So shall we move on to the next concept? So I want to discuss about a few crude operations that I had missed. Basically, they're very important somehow. So this is all about an aggregates, and yeah, I want to discuss few things like how to update or like let's say when we have a data set or we can expect some null values or else we can expect we feel like like there might be some wrong information or what if you want to update that record. So that is basically done with the update statement. Update statement basically helps you in modifying the existing records in a table using where conditions. Okay, so what if you want to modify the records in a table using where condition? So that is basically done with the update statement. So the syntax is something like this. You just have to use update table as a keyword and you have to specify your table name and you just have to set the values. Okay, like if you are changing in a column 1, you have to specify the column and the value 1. And if you are changing for the second column as well, you just have to mention that column name as well as the value that you are trying to change. And make sure if you don't specify your conditions, this changes or this updating can be done only with a where condition. Without a where condition, what it does, like it will replace for all the values, like whatever records you have in the entire data set, everything will be replaced. Just to avoid that, it's always a good thing to mention a where condition. Let's say I have an employee table. I have created a very small table for you just to show like how update is going to work. So I have a record like, I have employee IDs, like at 201, I have some other data. I have like John and some job description, probably HR. Now what I want to do is I just want to replace that, the records in that employee ID 201 with these names, with these new things. That is, I just want to replace name with Gian and I just want to replace a job with engineer. Like I want to replace the existing value with a new values. So how do you do that? You just need to specify it using a set statement and remember to specify this where clause. If you don't specify your where clause, if you don't specify like at where you are doing these changes, it will replace for all the IDs. It will replace Everywhere, wherever it seems like name and job, everything will be replaced with Gian and engineer. It's not a good thing, right? So in order to make an update or in order to make changes with the existing records, it's always important to specify the where clause or a where condition. Okay, so let me show this. And also you have one more delete statement. This is basically used to delete existing record in a table using where condition. What if I say like I don't want to look into some records like which are not really important for me. So instead of carrying that, what you can do is you can just remove them. That is basically done by using delete keyword. It's delete from, just specify your table name and you have to specify the condition. Even here, if you don't specify the condition, it's just going to remove everything. Okay, it will remove the entire thing. So instead of that, what you can do is you just need to specify where clause. Specifying where clause while updating a record or while deleting a record, where clause plays a very important role. Remember that. Okay. So yeah, let's complete update and delete, and let me come back to the alter statement. You can do many things with the alter statement, and I'll explain you like what it is. Before that, let's finish with update and the delete. Okay. So far what I did was all about, customer table. Now let me take this employee table. Remember, when you use any table, make sure you select your database. So I'm using a practice database. Make sure right click on that database and click on set as default schema. Only then it works, because there are multiple databases in your schemas, right? And MySQL has to know like where is your table. In order to differentiate, make sure you select your database first and then proceed with the next steps. Okay, yeah. So my table is this employee one. Let me see like what is that inside my table. Let me select asterisk. I want to fetch everything. So let's say select asterisk from my table name is basically employee one. And let's see it's employee one. And let's run this and let's see what it's going to return. It has to return me the existing records, such as I have created a table. It's taking time to fetch here. Okay. So here it is. Here is employee table, which has got fields like, employee ID, name, company, and the job. You can see I have included like six records. It's a very small data set that I have taken because I just want to show like how things work with update and, delete. So let's try to use an update statement now. Okay. Look carefully. So this is my actual data. So I have got different IDs. So what you want to do is I just want to replace this ID name and the company name. Okay, at the 201 ID, I just want to replace a name John to Gian, and I just want to replace company instead of Amazon. Let me give Flipkart. How do you do that? That is basically done with the help of update statement. Okay, remember the first record, it's John, Amazon, and HR. Now I'm trying to do the changes. Okay, so what I do, I just want to take an update statement. It's update. My table name is employee one. Remember, whatever table name you have taken, same thing has to be used. So update employee, and you just have to set a name, set. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to change the name, set name equals. So instead of John, I'm trying to make it Gian. And not and, I just have to use a comma. And I need to change a company, right? So let's see, company, oh, sorry. It's not within a string, it's just a company equals. So instead of Amazon company, I just want to change it to a Flipkart. So let's say I have entered something wrong. So I'm just making a changes. So how do you do these changes? If I run this now, it's going to replace all the IDs with, name, Gian, and Flipkart. So I don't want to do that. So if I do that, it will make a permanent change. So make sure when you want to change any record, or if you want to make any changes to the existing record, don't forget to specify the where clause. Okay, I want to specify a where clause, and I should say like where this changes has to be done. Where should I do? Where I have to change name and company, I have to do these changes either for the first ID, right? That means I need to make this changes where employee ID equals 201. Yeah. So remember, now you can see the changes. Initially, it was 201. ID remains the same because I'm not changing the ID. And name is John, company is Amazon, and job is HR. Okay, now I'm trying to change John to Jian and Amazon to Flipkart. Okay, let me run this. What happened? Okay, so I've done the changes. Now what do you have to do? This update statement. Yeah, Rita, you can use job equals HR. Then it will replace at that particular ID. Yes, it works. It doesn't mean that you have to take an ID. Even you can change. You can use different thing, but make sure you specify a where clause. That's important. Okay. And let's say, suppose if you have job equals HR at two different places, then it will replace both the records. That's the issue. So it's always good thing to go with, using where condition whenever you have a unique things. Okay, if you want to do multiple changes, then it's okay, no worries. If you want to change wherever you have an HR, if you want to make multiple changes, like wherever you have HR, if you want to replace it with some other job, some other designation, you can just say job equals HR. What if HR is repeated in this case? Then it will replace wherever you have HR, it will replace like Jian and Flipkart. It doesn't make any sense, right? So you should be very aware of it, and you should be very choosy about, choosing where clause. Okay. So, yeah. So once you update things, in order to see that, you just have to run the statement, that is select asterisk from employee. Let's run this. So it's going to return you. So it has done the changes. So initially it was a John and it was Amazon company, and now we changed it to Jian and Flipkart. You can see the changes. So this is how an update function is going to work. Yeah, as Rita said, even we can work with, we can change a where clause. So if let's say instead of employee ID, I just want to change it to okay, I want to make some changes. Let's say I want to let's say your company as what else not taken. Okay, Amazon. And let me change this name to, let's say John. Let's come back to that again. And where you have to make the changes, you have to make a change at where job equals HR. Yeah. So that means what it will do. Oh, it's showing error because I missed one code here. Yeah. So what it does now, so I have changed it. Instead of ID, I'm taking job equals HR. Since I have only one HR, it's going to replace name as John and company as Amazon to this first record because HR is there. Okay, job equals HR is only for the first record, that is for 201 record. So whatever changes I do now, that is basically done to this first record. If you make a changes like job equals ID, it will do changes for ID. Okay. Yeah, let's run this and let's look for the changes and let's see how update has worked. And let me run this. So you should get what? So you got your data back. So we took job equals HR. That means we are trying to replace a name as a name. We just replaced. Initially it was like Jian and we replaced it with John, and company was like Flipkart and it was replaced with Amazon. So this is how update statement is going to work. Clear? So similarly, shall we try with our delete statement? So delete is basically used to delete an existing record. Let's say I just want to delete this 204 record. So what will be your condition? What do you specify? Let's say I want to delete. So I'll use a delete keyword. Okay. So delete from. You are deleting from what? Deleting from a table, which is employee 1. This is my table. And what you are trying to remove? You need to specify the condition. Sorry, delete spelling, I give it wrong. Yeah. So where condition, I can give either ID or I can say name or I can say company or I can say job. So I just want to remove the record which contains a name as Wipro. Okay. Which has a name as, not the name, a company as Wipro. So what do? You have to specify your where condition as company equals. So let me see. So I want to remove the record which contains Wipro. So how do you do that? I just want to say company equals. I'll specify that Wipro. So it's capital W. So it's going to be Wipro. Yeah, and let's run this. So it says that it has deleted from the record. So it says like one row affected. And we want to see that. So we try to remove the record, which has a Wipro thing. So I need to select this asterisk from employee one, only then I can see the changes. Okay. Yeah, do you see a Wipro record anywhere? Is there a Wipro record? Do you see any record which has a Wipro? No, right? Because we removed it. So this is how you delete a record by specifying a condition. Even you can specify multiple conditions and you can remove the multiple values. Okay. Yeah. So this is how update and delete statements are going to work. Now I just want to explain you about alter statement, which plays a very important role. Even you can do some modifications with alter statements. And let me show you the different ways. Using alter statement, you can do some modifications. Yeah, to delete and update, these things are basically happening on rows. Okay, it's not a column wise. We are doing it on rows. We can delete existing record in the sense it's a rows. Okay, we can delete a record or we can update a record. That is basically existing records. Okay. Yeah. And now we are coming to the concept of columns. You might have a question like, how can we remove a column or how can we remove things, right? Like how can we add a new column or how do we delete it? How do we modify? That is basically done with the help of alter statement. We can't do anything with the values, but we can do with the columns. Like you can add a new column, you can delete a column, and you can modify the columns. Like you can change a data type or you can change the constraint. So that is basically done with the alter statement. But using update and delete, you can do modifications with the records. That means our row values. Okay, you can delete, you can change. That is done with the update. So we have three things: add, delete, and changing columns. Using add operator, what you can do is you can add a new column. So the syntax is very simple. You just have to specify alter table and specify your column name. Okay, and once you specify your column name, what you have to do is, oh, sorry. So you just need to specify your, what you are doing, you are trying to add, right? So just specify that add, and then whatever new column that you want to add and the data type. That's how the syntax of add statement using alter statement is going to work. Okay. Yeah. So you can, using this add operator, you can add a new column to an existing data, okay, for an existing table. And then we have one more thing. You can drop a column, like whatever column you have created, that can be dropped using this drop concept. It's just like alter table, you just need to specify your table name and use a drop keyword and say column name. Like what you are trying to drop, that has to be specified. Just specify your column name that you are trying to drop. And then we have a concept of modify. This modifier is basically used to change you can change data type of a column, or else even you can change a column name as well. Like you can using modify, you can just change a data type or a constraint. And you have one more thing to do modification with the column name. You can change your column name by using this rename field. Rename basically helps you to change, the old table name to new table. You just have to use a rename column and old name to and specify your new name, new table name, new column name. Okay, so these are the things. And also one more thing, what if you want to clear the records inside a table? Clear records in the sense you want to remove the entire data and you should get an empty table in the sense, you should have a columns, but all the rows should be deleted. That is basically done with the help of truncate. Okay. So the syntax is very simple. You have to use truncate table and specify your table name, which is going to remove all the available data inside your table. Okay, so these are the different things that you see in alter statement. Truncate is used to delete all the records from a table. Rename is used to rename a column. And also you can rename a table as well. It works. And modify, you can change your data type. And we have a drop concept where you can drop the column. Like if you don't want to see, if you don't want any column, you can just drop it using a drop statement. And also you can alter it, like you can add a new column to a existing table. That is basically done with the help of alter statement. Shall we do this? We'll see how these things are going to work with MySQL Workbench. So, oh, just a minute. So I'm using this long back and it's asking me for the password. Give me a second. Is things clear about the alter statement? Does it make sense? So SQL is all about the logic. You just have to apply the logic and you have to remember the syntaxes. And it will be easy. Okay, let me enter my password. Say okay. Yeah. Okay, now it's working. So if you use it for a long time, it just suspect on you. It will ask for a password. Okay, let's try to add a new column. So what is my column? Like what is my data? Is basically like something like this. It's select star from employee, and this is my table. It's employee 1, and let's run this. So this is going to return you the records that are present inside this employee 1 table. And yeah. So what happened? It's working. Still it's running. So it's taking time. Okay, so this is my table. I want to add a new column. Let's try to add a new column as age into this. Yeah, shall we? So what you have to do, you have to use the alter statement. It's basically alter table. We are altering a table. And we are altering, or we are trying to add it for a column name that is employee 1. So make sure you enter a proper table name, employee 1. And what you are trying to add, that is basically done with the add statement. And I'm trying to add a age column, and I'll see the data type of this is age. Oh, sorry, the data type is integer. So age has to be a number, right? So I'll take a data type as integer. So I create this. Very simple. You have to take a alter table and specify your table name, and you just have to use a keyword as add and specify your column name which you are trying to add and the data type. So what is going to return you the things like, okay, it says like, and let's run the table. So it has added a new column that is age. If you want to insert values into that, you just have to use a statement called as insert into. Do you remember? Insert into is basically used to insert values into this. You just have to insert an age. Yes, no, you can use a keyword like insert into, and you have to specify your column name. Should I show that? I'll show for one. Let's see, insert into. We are inserting into what? We are inserting into employee table. It's going to be employee 1. And you can specify your column. I'm basically trying to insert it only for age, and you have to specify a value of, let's say age is 20, let's say 50. Okay, and let's run this. So this has to insert a record into your age column. Let's run this. And okay, let's run a table and let's see whether it has inserted it or not. Let's see. Yeah. So we have inserted it, right? But it has created a new ID, right? Okay, if you use the concept of insert, it will insert at a new line. What you have to do is you have to update it. Make use of update statement and try to update it at 201. Then it works. Yes, no? So where is my update statement? Let's update it here. Okay, let's see. I just want to set age equals 50. Okay, where let's take an ID, employee ID. Let's do it only for the first one. Let's say employee ID equals 201, right? Yeah. Oh, it's an ID, no need to specify codes. And let's run this. This has to return you, this has to update an employee table with age equals 50. So it says like row is affected, and let's run this select star from employee so that you can see the changes. Remember, if you use a insert into statement, it's going to insert a new record, but we are trying to insert it for the, we are trying to insert a age into this first record. So it's going to be 50. Okay, what if I don't specify the ID? You might be thinking, right? Like, what happens if I don't specify a where clause? I'll show an example here. Look here. I'm saying I'm trying to update an employee one. That is my table worth. I'm setting age equals 50. Okay, let's run this. And look at your employee table. Can you get output? Can you expect the output? Can you guess? It will fill age equals 50 for all the records. Can you see? It has filled 50 for everything, all the records, for all the IDs. So this is how things work if you don't specify a where clause. That's why I told you that, yeah, it's going to print, it's going to fill 50 for all the age column. That's why where clause is very important. When you do updating things, if you don't specify where clause, it will fill for everything. It will replace for all the records. It doesn't make any sense. So always make sure that, specifying a where clause. Is it clear about adding a new column? It's very simple, right? Yeah. So now let me explain you like how to, how to drop a column that you have created. How do you drop? You just have to use an alter table. And what is the table name? It's employee one, right? So employee one. We need to drop. So I'll use a drop keyword. And what are you trying to drop? What do you want to drop? Let's drop job. Let's drop job column. Oh, yeah. You just need to specify your column name. It's drop job. Let me run this. And let's see what it's going to return. It says one row is affected. So let's run the table and let's see. Oh, sorry, I'm running the same thing again. I'm sorry. Yeah. Let's run the statement because I want to see my table. I want to see whether job was removed or not because I tried to drop a job column. Oh yeah, finally it has removed a job column. So using alter table, you can add a new column as well as you can drop a whatever column you want. Getting? Okay, now let me show you like how to rename a column. How do you rename? So in order to rename a column, let's do one thing. Let's rename that age column to employee age. In order to drop a specific segment or specific portion from a table, I showed you the delete keyword, no? Update and delete. So using that delete, you can specify your condition and you can remove the specific portion or a segment of your data. Okay. So this alter statement, it basically deals with the columns, not with the records. Are you getting? You can specify the multiple columns. It works. It will drop it out. It will drop the multiple columns. Okay, now let's focus on how to rename a table. I just have to take alter table and my table name is employee one. Okay. And I just want to rename. So let's rename column as a keyword. And you just have to specify your old name. What is your old name of a column? I'm trying to replace age with employee age. So my old column name is age and I'm replacing it to employee age. Let's say employee underscore age. So I want to replace an age column name as, age to employee age. So in order to do that, I'm just using the concept of alter table. And I have used a table name employee one and I'm renaming column and age to employee age. And let's run this and let's see what it's going to return. Okay, it says like row is affected. So I just want to print the statement, right? So it just select star from employee one, which is going to return you the records. Like it shows you the data table. What we have done, we have renamed age to employee age, right? It has to show me employee age instead of age. It's showing. Yeah. So this is how alter statement works for adding a new column, for dropping, and to rename things. Okay, and do you want to see do you want to know like what is the data type of each column and constraint of each column? Just use DESE or a describe and specify your table name. So see, it's DESE and specify your table name. It's going to be employee one, which gives you information like a data type of each column, and also it says like is there any constraint or not. That is basically found with this DESE employee. See, it just returns you like the way you fetch a columns, like when you deal with the pandas, you see like data.columns, right? Similarly, if you want to see, look at the data table, data columns, and if you want to see the information like type, data type, and if you want to know like are there any null values, and if you want to see like a constraint, like what is the constraint assigned for each column, that is basically seen with the help of describe. Do you remember describe was like a info, even there like data.info basically gave you things like a data type count, and also it gave you like non-null counts, memory usage. Here it's showing you the fields are basically a columns, and the type employee ID obviously it has to take an integer, a name company they have to take a character things, and employee age again it has to take an integer. Null means it says like are there any null values? No means there are no null values. Name in this case there are null values. And only primary key is defined for an employee ID. Primary key means make sure your column shouldn't contain any null values, and there should be unique values in that. Okay, that's how a primary key constraint is defined. And yeah, these are nothing to do with. This is how you find data type and a non-null counts of your table. You can use either DESE or a describe. You can use describe keyword as well. Okay, the full keyword that's going to work. So is it clear about an update, delete, and alter statements? So this is how things work. And I want to discuss few things like, okay, let me go back to my PPT. Yeah. So dropping, I showed you like how to drop a column. Okay, modify that, rename this term. Truncate, you can just, truncate basically used to, yes, Rita, if you want to drop up this particular portion, yes, exactly. Like what you have to drop, that has to be specified. Exactly. A truncate basically used to clear the records inside a table. You just have to give truncate table and a table name. Okay. That's going to clear out all the records in your table. It just gives you an empty table with a column names. Okay, it's very easy. I'm not going to show you. The syntax is something like this: truncate table, and you just have to specify the table name, but removes all the records from the table. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I told you that I just want to discuss about a few interview questions, right? Like people might ask you things like, what is the difference between update and alter? So can I get few answers for this? What is the difference between update and alter? What do you do with update and what do you do with alter statement? Just now I explained. Can I get at least 2 answers? So what do you do with update and what do you do with alter? The very basic one. So which statement you'll use it for rows and which statement you'll use it for columns? Yeah, update for row-wise alter. Yeah, exactly. Update is used for row-wise modification and alter is for column-wise modification. Very good, Rita. Yeah, that's right. How about others? Okay, here are the differences. which plays a very important role. People expect you to know this. Update is basically a data manipulation language that means you do manipulation for that data, right? And alter statement, it's a data definition language, which basically happens on a table format, which the modification happen on table. That is an alter. That is a data definition language. And then update command will be performed in a data level. That's what a data manipulation says. And also alter statement, it will be perform the action on structure level. Structure level in the sense table level. Okay, here it's a record level or a row level or a data level. And also it says like update is used to update the existing records. So what we do with an update statement? We try to update with an existing records, right? Like what did we do? We try to update, we try to change existing values, and also we try to delete it. We try to delete an existing record. This is basically done with the update statement. And what did we do with alter statement? This was done for the records in the sense rows. Okay. And alter is basically used to add, delete, or modify attributes. Attributes in the sense columns. Okay, you can add a new column, you can delete a column, and also you can modify a column. Like you can change a data type, you can change a constraint, and also you can rename a table name. This is basically happening on table level. And this update is happening on a data level. Like whatever records you have inside a table, based on that, update is working. And on table level, like on columns and all, alter statement is working. Okay. And also update statement makes changes with the data inside the table. Yes, obviously it has to work with a records, and this command makes changes with a table structure. Table structure in the sense like initially if you have a 3 columns, if you add a new column, obviously it will change the structure. Like, right, you will get, yes. So these are the different differences between, update and alter. Hope you got it. Update, it's like a row level or a, data inside a table. Like whatever manipulations you do, that is basically a row level or a record level manipulation. Alter means it's a table level. Using update, you can update the existing records, and you can delete the existing records by specifying a where clause. And in alter table, you can just add your new table using add statement. You can drop a table using drop keyword, and also you can rename a column. Yes, and also you can modify a data type or a constraint using modify keyword. So these are the different differences between update and alter statement. Hope you got it. Yeah. So the next question, probably people might ask you is a difference between a group by and order by clause. This is very important. Any idea about a group by and order by, why it's used? Can I get few answers? No idea? Order by basically used to order data based on certain column, like it will arrange your data in either ascending or a descending order, right? Group by means it will group data into a different categories. Yes? Okay, let's see like how it's differentiated. Yeah, you can see here. So we have a differences like order by, it is basically used to display the information either in ascending or descending order. That's what I said. If I have a customer table and if I want to display all the records, and if I want to order it by ascending or a descending order, like I can specify a country name, I can order it like order wise, or if I want to order it by a sales, it's going to print you the entire record based on it will try to arrange your records in ascending or descending order based on a specific condition that you have applied it. Okay, group by means it is used to group the data based on a particular column. Let's say if I want to find sum of sales based on a sum of sales for different countries, that means I need to group the data for different countries and I need to find the corresponding sales. That is basically happened with a group by. It is used to group the data based on a particular column. If I see I want data related to a different, if I say I want to know the sum of sales for different countries, so I need to group it by a country. That is a particular column. Or also even you can group it by a different columns as well. That's another scenario. And remember, order by doesn't use any aggregate functions. Only group by was using the aggregate function, and it's mandatory as well. So without an aggregate function, it's very hard for anyone to filter it out data or grouping data. It's really impossible without an aggregate function. So remember, aggregate functions plays a very important role with group by. And order by doesn't make use of aggregate functions. Like normally directly just gives you, it will order things in ascending order, descending order. So, and there is one more, order by controls the presentation of the columns. Presentation of the columns in the sense, like if you want things to be in ascending or a descending order, that is basically controlled by order by clause. And group by clause, what it does is it controls the presentation of the, oh, it's not a column. Basically, it controls the presentation of the rows. It's not column, sorry for this. It controls the presentation of the rows in the sense, like we are trying to group a rows, right? Group into different categories. When I say I want to know the sum of sales for different countries, like we have a repeated records which belongs to different countries. Here we are trying to group similar records into a similar country. Like if I have a orders or a records related to India, obviously I want to group that and I should say it's India. And then I have to collect records of US. I need to collect records of Germany and so on. This is how control the presentation of rows is basically done with a group by clause, and controlling presentation of the column is basically done with the order by clause. Okay. And one more difference is order by is used after a group by clause and select statement. And you know the order, right? First you have to take a group by, and then it's a having clause, and then it's order by. This is a rule that follows. Always remember, order by can be used with a group by, but remember, group by cannot be used with a order by. Group by is always used before order by in select statement. Remember this. Order by can be used with a group by, but group by cannot be used with the order by. Okay. So this is the difference between order by and group by. And the next question is, yeah. So difference between where and having, even this plays a very important role. I hope you know this. Where basically used to filter records based on multiple conditions, like you can use comparison operators, yeah, or else even you can use logical operators. Based on multiple conditions, you can filter it out your records. That is basically done with the help of where clause. And what if you want to filter records after grouping? Grouping in the sense like we use a group by concept. As I said, what if I want to filter it out, what if I want to find a countries which has, what if I want to find some of sales for each countries in a given data, and also I want to arrange them in increasing order or a decreasing order. And also if I want to specify a condition, like I just want to know the things like, the records which belongs to just a particular country or the country which has got orders greater than 100. So that specification or that filtering, that condition can be applied using this having clause. Remember, where is used to filter records based on a condition, having is used to filter records after grouping. Where before grouping, having after grouping. And where cannot contain aggregate functions. Where clause and remember, having clause contain aggregate functions. Different aggregate functions are like count, average, sum, minimum, maximum. And where clause can be used without a group by clause, but having clause cannot be used without a group by. So it's not a mandatory to use where clause along with a group by clause, but it's always a mandatory to use having clause with a group by, because if you want to filter records based on certain condition, obviously you can't go with a where clause because where clause is not going to work with group by. In that case, you have to make use of having clause. Okay, and the final difference is it can be used along with a select, update, delete statement. This happens with where clause. So where clause, where condition can be specified with select statement. Select basically used to filter it out your data based on different conditions. In that case, you need to specify your where clause. Only then you can filter records for the multiple conditions. And also update. Just now we learned update is nothing but what if you want to update your record, the existing records. As people were asking, like, how do we update multiple records? Yes, that is basically done by specifying a where clause. You need to specify your multiple conditions. Only then you can update your multiple records. Okay, without a where clause, it's not possible. And also delete statement. Delete is used to delete the existing records. What if you want to delete a multiple statements based on the multiple conditions? In that case, where clause plays a very important role. Remember, where is used with select, update, and delete statement. But having clause, it can be used only with the select statement. And in that, if it has a group by only, then we can use having clause. Otherwise, with other statements like update, delete, or like other statements, we can't use this having clause. That's the difference. It can be used only with a select statement and also only with a group by. If it has a group by, only then it works. Otherwise, this having clause is not going to work. But where clause, it can be used with different SQL operators like SQL constraints, SQL commands like select, update, delete. So to operate them, wait clause is very important because when you want to specify a multiple condition, then comes the concept of wait clause. But when you group a data and then if you want to filter it out, then obviously you have to go with the having clause. That even if you make use of where clause, it's not going to work. It just throws an error for you. So it's always a good practice, and it's a mandatory to use having clause in order to filter data based on a groups. Clear? So these are the 3 questions that I wanted to discuss. And also there is one more. This plays a very important role. Even this is very important. Difference between delete, drop, and truncate. So we learned all these things today, right? Like delete, drop, we learned it long back, and truncate. Okay, delete is like data manipulation language. That means we use the delete statement in order to delete a record. Data manipulation means it happened on, row level. Data definition language means drop is a data definition language. It happened on, a table level, like a structure level. And truncate, it's a data definition language itself. Even truncate is basically used to remove remove all the elements of a table. Yes. So that's how things work. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And yeah, the second difference is like it is used to delete one or more existing record from the table. That's what we did today with a delete statement. Yeah. Like you can specifically remove the record, like existing records, just by specifying a wait clause. And drop statement, it is basically used to remove the entire table. We did this on the first session. I don't know whether you remember it or not. So in order to remove or in order to drop the column, we make use of drop statement. And truncate, you know what truncate does? It basically deletes all the records from the table. Yeah. And yeah, this delete statement, it will make use of where clause. Without a where clause delete option, it will delete everything. So it's always good to add it's a mandatory to use a where clause when you want to delete certain record or existing record. And even drop, it's not making use of where clause because however, what is the function of drop? Drop is basically trying to delete or drop the entire table. That means there is no point in specifying a where clause. So it will not make use of where clause. And truncate, what truncate does? Truncate eliminates or it removes all the elements that are present inside a table. So even then, like since we are deleting everything, then there is no concept of where clause. So we are not using where clause with drop and truncate, but we are using it for delete. So, and you can see the syntaxes. How do you delete a record, a particular record? It's just like delete from, you specify a table name and you specify a condition. Only then a delete keyword works. And how do you delete? How do you use a drop keyword? It's basically used for dropping a table. You just have to take a drop table keyword and just specify a table name, which is going to drop an entire table. Okay, and we have a concept of truncate. This truncate basically tries to remove all the records that are available in a table, which returns you the empty table. That is done with the help of truncate table, and you just need to specify your table name. Okay, so this is how delete, drop, truncate works uniquely, and these are the different differences between delete, drop, and truncate. Is it clear? Any questions? These are the key things that are very important. Yeah, you need to focus on writing queries as well as, you should be very aware about, why these statements are like, you should know, like, you should be aware of, comparing between things, and also you should know, like, unique uses of each SQL command. Then only you'll be an expert in SQL. Just learning writing query doesn't make any sense, right? Like whatever you learn, there should be some logic behind that, and you have to understand things. Only then you can relate things. Like if you don't know the logic, like if you don't know the difference between what does delete, drop, and truncate, you might end up with an error. You will use drop to delete an existing record. You might use truncate to delete a table. If you understand the differences, then it's easy for you to apply that for your existing table or like whatever data set you have. Okay, this is how things are going to work with SQL. So that completes for the day. So yeah, thank you. Any questions? If you have any questions, you can just post, you can ask. So I can clear it out. Any questions? No questions. No questions? No, that's good. So that completes. Thanks for that. So I discussed things like aggregate functions group by having clause, and also I gave things like how update works, deletes, and also alter statements. And also we discussed a few interview questions, which plays a very important role, like what are the differences between update and alter? What is the difference between group by having clause? What is the difference between drop, delete, truncate? So these plays a very important role. And yeah, thank you for being a part of this session. Thank you so much. And have a great day. Even we have a session tomorrow where I'll be explaining you things related to a joins. Joins plays a very important role. And also let's look into some date and time functions, and then we'll directly switch to a Python where I just want to show you like how to connect a database using Python. Okay, let's do that tomorrow. So that will complete our entire webinar session. Okay, thank you. Let's end the session. See you all tomorrow. Thank you.